So the Baltimore Ravens are 7-3, and right now they seem like they're in the driver's seat of winning this AFC North division. It is still a lot of football to be played, but when I look at the Baltimore Ravens, they are easily one of the best teams in the NFL. When you look at what Lamar Jackson's doing right now, he's easily going to win yet another MVP. He's going to win back-to-back MVPs. He won MVP last season, and you had a lot of people come out and say that he really deserved the MVP because Brock Purdy's numbers were better, and the same with Christian McCaffrey. You look at it this season, it's no debate. He's easily the best quarterback in the NFL. You could talk about Jared Goff and Jaden Daniels, very good quarterbacks in their own right. Lamar Jackson, through 10 games this season, has went out there and put up video game numbers with his arm. Because what has been the one knack on Lamar Jackson? He can't go out there. He can't be an efficient passer. He can't go out there and lead the team with his arm. 24 passing touchdowns to just 2 interceptions for 2,669 passing yards. And he still has the rushing capability as well. When you look at the rushing yards, 538 for 2 rushing touchdowns. And you know, as this season progresses, he may be touching upward to 700 to 800 rushing yards this season. He's easily the best player in the NFL right now in the current moment. And yes, they've had some tough losses like how they had against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, even though that game was close and it came down to Isaiah Likely's toe coming out of the red zone. They also had a brutal loss against the Las Vegas Raiders. They were not focused in that game enough, but bad losses are going to happen. And a couple of weeks ago, yes, they lost against the Cleveland Browns. They could have easily had 3 to 4 interceptions in that game on Jameis Winston. And Rashard Bateman dropped a huge pass in that game as well. It's not to make excuses because losses are losses. But at the same time, when you look at the way they're going out there and they're dominating the opposing teams and they're winning shootouts, this is a great sign for the Baltimore Ravens. And the reason why they brought in Derrick Henry was to have a consistent running back in the backfield. The Baltimore Ravens have always had a dominant rushing attack with Lamar Jackson since he first became a starter with the Ravens. But their running backs always dealt with injuries with J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. Those guys were not able to stay healthy for a full length of the season. You have a big bruiser in Derrick Henry who has been healthy every single year in his career, even with the Tennessee Titans. And he's been one of the best running backs in the NFL for years now. He leads the league in rushing. The man leads the league in carries as well. And that's a great sign if you are a Baltimore Ravens fan, because what happened against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs last year? They stopped running the football and they abandoned the run game. And Derrick Henry also has 12 rushing touchdowns as well, all first across the board. He's the best running back right now in the NFL. And he can carry the offense on his back at times if it's a rainy game or if it's a snowy game. That's what makes his offense so deadly, because you have Lamar Jackson and his legs and his ability to pass the football deep and work off of play action. You have Derrick Henry as well. And don't sleep on Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell was a very good running back last season. And it goes back into my point to where running backs cannot stay fully healthy. That man was so good last year, but he tears his ACL against the Chargers. And he's a speed running back. And Derrick Henry has proven this season that he is still a very fast, bruising running back. Look at what they did against the Buffalo Bills. Elite level competition, by the way. They literally ran them off the field from the first all the way up to the fourth quarter. They blew them out. Against the Cincinnati Bengals, you got into 2 shootouts. You don't have to face them anymore. Those are 2 division wins in your pocket. They have yet to play the Steelers. We'll see what happens in that situation. Lamar Jackson has struggled against the Steelers in the past, but this feels different. And I understand what happened last season. The top defense in the NFL. They had a top rushing attack. You had Lamar Jackson. He wins the MVP. But they have more weapons now with Lamar Jackson. Their defense is not even close to being the same as it was last year. I have more to say about that in the next couple of minutes. But when I look at the wide receivers, let's give them a lot of credit as well. Zay Flowers has become a true number 1 wide receiver. He was good last year, but he was a rookie. He had a lot of plays that made you scratch your head, especially against the Chiefs in the playoffs. He had a fumble. He also had a penalty to where he pushed the defender down and the referees called it. He's more mature now, and he's a human joystick. He's phenomenal in open space. He's a definition of a wide receiver that's 3 levels. He can kill you underneath, intermediate routes, and going deep as well. He has 688 receiving yards on the season and 3 receiving touchdowns. They also made a trade to bring in Deontay Johnson. I don't expect for Deontay Johnson to just go out there and do much with the Ravens unless one of these guys go down. And Rashard Bateman has been a very good wide receiver this season. Yes, he had a bad game against the Cleveland Browns, and some Raven fans were pissed off with him about that. But this man has been very good. He's a former first-round pick for a reason. The one thing that has held Rashard Bateman back has been injuries. So if he or Zay Flowers, one of those guys, go down, let's knock on wood and hope that doesn't happen. You can slide in Deontay Johnson, who was a former number one wide receiver for the Steelers and also was a number one wide receiver for the Panthers. And you got him for dirt cheap. You have Tylan Wallace as well, who had a punt return last year against the Los Angeles Rams. Look at what he did yesterday against the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a phenomenal playmaker in open space. They are loaded even on the bench. And you have a guy like Nelson Aguilar. When he's not your true number one or true number two, he's a solid wide receiver, especially when he can catch the football. And you look at these tight ends. You have Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. And I believe Mark Andrews getting injured was a blessing in disguise. I never want to see any player get hurt, but it forced Coach Harbaugh to basically go out there and put in Isaiah Likely. And that kid got a chance to shine. And on most teams in the NFL, he would be a starting tight end. He's a starting tight end with the Baltimore Ravens because they'll go out there and they'll run a 2 tight end set. This is the most dangerous offense in the NFL. We could talk about the Detroit Lions, and they're good in their own right. They're great in the NFC. We could talk about a healthy 49ers team. They're amazing as well. But this Ravens team just hits different because they can run the football at every single angle. They can cover every single blade of grass as well with the receivers that they have. They all bring something different, and they have the wide receivers as well. It's no excuses this season for Lamar Jackson. This is a Super Bowl caliber type of offense. He shouldn't have to always go out there and put up 4 to 5 passing touchdowns in every single game because the defense has to be better moving forward. But Lamar Jackson has shown the ability to go out there and score 4 to 5 total touchdowns in a game. That's what makes this so scary. And when I look at this defense, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, this defense is not the same defense it was last season. Coach McDonald did a phenomenal job. He did such a great job that he is now the head coach with the Seattle Seahawks. He was a great defensive coordinator last season. But when I look at this defense, you have Zachary Orr, first-time defensive coordinator. He's a former linebacker for the Ravens, was a very good linebacker, by the way. You could tell that he's a former linebacker, and he's a linebacking type of guy. He's a front seven, focused type of defensive coordinator because they go out there and they stop that run. They pin their ears back. They are great against the run. They have the best rushing defense in the NFL. With Matt Abuke, who's a phenomenal defensive tackle and defensive end when they switch and move him around. Roquan Smith, one of the best interior linebackers in the NFL. Kyle Van Noy has been phenomenal all season long. And I was worried about their pass rush without Jadeveon Clowney. Even though Jadeveon Clowney was more of a system player last year, he had 9.5 sacks, but he was very good against the run, and he was very good to get in terms of going against the passer as well. The pass rush is there. It may not be on a consistent basis like how it was last season with Coach McDonald because he was able to move guys around and send blitzes from different angles. Zachary Orr is not there just yet. But when it comes against stopping the run and game planning on the team's run game, they're one of the best in the league. They're the best in the league right now. The problem I have with this defense, their secondary is abysmal. The worst passing defense in the NFL. And it is so weird because you would think that the Baltimore Ravens would at least just be 500. With their defense on the back end not being as good. And you also have key names like Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Brandon as well. Very good cornerbacks, very good safeties. Except for Eddie Jackson, he should never touch the field. Maybe in short yardage situations, sure. In the goal line, as a deep range safety, he's not good. He's not the same safety that he once was 4 to 5 years ago. When I look at their secondary, the talent is there. They're a very opportunistic type of defense. Look at what Marlon Humphrey did last night against the Bengals. He goes out there, he forces a fumble. You know, when you put the football back in Lamar Jackson's hands, more times than not, they're going to go out there and score a touchdown or at least a field goal on certain drives. And it was a struggle coming to halftime. In the first half, they were not getting much things going. And even early in the third quarter, you heard a lot of Raven fans, they were booing the offense. Because Lamar Jackson wasn't able to go out there and look like himself. The Bengals played very good, but they wore them down with their run game, and then they let Lamar Jackson go out there and be the star of the show. It's not always pretty with their offense, but when they get things going, it's dangerous. But back to this defense. Zachary Orr has to be better with the secondary. They've moved Kyle Hamilton around a lot this season, but he doesn't look the same. He really misses Mike McDonald and the way that he was able to go out there and figure things out with his defensive scheme. And it's not me saying that Kyle Hamilton is a bad safety. He's still one of the best safeties in the NFL. He's an ultimate chess piece. He can play outside corner, nickel corner. He can play single high safety, in-box safety. He's going to always have a spot with the Baltimore Ravens or a spot in the NFL because of how versatile he is. You also have Nate Wiggins as well, who's a very young football player. He's a rookie. I expect for him to get better as the season progresses as well. And he's gotten better every single week. The secondary just has to limit the big time plays. That's it. And to go back into them being opportunistic, look at what happened in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. They forced Baker Mayfield to throw 2 interceptions. Look how that game ended. They controlled the game. They blew them out. Look at what they did against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they were letting the Dallas Cowboys come back into the fold, but usually those are the type of games that the Baltimore Ravens would blow. They went out there and they won the games against the Miami Dolphins many years ago. So when I look at this Ravens team right now, they have everything it takes to go out there and win a Super Bowl this season. In back-to-back years, Lamar Jackson has been put into a great situation. And he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for quite some time now. But it's time to cap this off with a Super Bowl. If they do not win a Super Bowl, this will be yet another wasted season for the Baltimore Ravens. And you can say that I'm overreacting, but I'm really not. Look at how close they were last year against the Kansas City Chiefs. And many people were rooting for the Baltimore Ravens because they're tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes. They wanted to see the Baltimore Ravens and the Detroit Lions go head-to-head in the Super Bowl. And by the way, it was not going to end up very good for the Detroit Lions because look at what Lamar Jackson has done to NFC teams, by the way. I think the Baltimore Ravens right now are one of the best teams in the AFC for sure. And they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I just want to see them go out there and have a true playoff push. They get to the Super Bowl, and then you can really cement Lamar Jackson and his legacy. But already, this man's going to win 3 MVPs. I'm already saying it right now. He's going to win the MVP this season. You can say Derrick Henry deserves it, but at the same time, Lamar Jackson is a quarterback, and he's still finding a way to go out there and make a lot of rushing plays as well. Give Lamar Jackson his flowers, and let me know in the comment section below how you guys feel about the Baltimore Ravens and will their pass defense cost them in the NFL playoffs. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.